and welcome back to He Said.
She Said.
I'm still Bill.
I'm Sandi.
And we think we have an interesting show today. Sorry that we haven't been better podcast restaurant reviewers recently, but as you know, visiting new restaurants and traveling has been a bit of a challenge. We hope you've been able to take advantage of some of your favorite restaurants using curbside pickup or delivery, and most recently, actual dining in. How about that? Different parts of the country weave back and forth between different levels of inside dining, and on that topic, we want to bring you news from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Every year, Sandi goes to Las Vegas for her birthday, and while we struggle this year with the decision to go or not go, we decided to be very careful and go. Sandi was there for a little over a week, and I joined later in the trip. While we were there, we went to a few of our favorite restaurants, hung around in the casino and stuff, and we thought we would report to you what Vegas was like during this stage of the pandemic. So let's talk about travel first. What do you think of the airports? How was that?
The airport was very bare, and people seemed a bit more confused than they normally are. So be ready for that. That was pretty much it, really. And
none of the airline clubs are open. Delta Club, the American Club, the Amex Club, none of them are open.
Yeah. And as I said, it was quite bare. So I think everyone took advantage and took their time kind of going through the gate and security. And
security seemed to go pretty quick.
Yes.
It was all pretty normal.
That was pretty normal.
A lot of hand sanitizer dispensers.
Correct. And when you do have your mask on, you will have to pull down your mask when you show your ID at the security gate. So I don't see that as a hazard or anything. You don't have to say anything. You just have to pull your mask down and just kind of smile, and that's about it.
And we had to go through 3 airports, actually, the Nashville airport, the Dallas airport, and then landed in Las Vegas airport. I think they were all about the same, don't you?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How were the flights, the actual, you get on the airplane and stuff?
I was on an American Airlines flight. Unfortunately, yes, the flight was full, so I did have someone sitting next to me. Luckily, I had a kindred spirit sitting next to me who was quite ready to use his sanitizer wipes very regularly.
Cool.
So that was really good.
So wipe down everything.
Luckily, I had a passenger next to me who is just as concerned and just a little paranoid about what you touch and all that kind of stuff.
Do we call that sanitizer neuroses?
Maybe, I guess. That might be a new word we'll have to put in the dictionary.
Absolutely.
Maybe. One thing I thought was very unusual is that the flight was extremely quiet. And I have a sense that it was because they don't provide beverage service. So I think it was quiet because the alcohol was not flowing. So I thought that was it just was very quiet. People were just not wanting to speak a lot, I think, too.
I had a similar experience, although I didn't have anybody that had the antiseptic wiping down everything. Besides me, I was wiping down everything.
Right.
And then the transfers to the airport hotel. When you get to Vegas, you got to take a cab or a car or something. How was that? Right. How did that go?
That's pretty much the same as well, except there are people and drivers who will say, no mask, no service.
And we didn't do any Uber or Lyft or anything like that.
Correct.
So we can't really comment on that.
I know that they did say in Vegas that Uber drivers will not give you a ride if you don't have a mask. And have a mask, not holding in your hand, have a mask on.
Have it on.
If you take it off at any point, they will pull over and they'll excuse themselves and say, sorry, gotta go find someone else. Yep. In a nice about way.
We stayed at the Venetian this year. You got there earlier than me, and you checked in. What was check-in like? How did that go?
Yes. I normally stay at the Palazzo, but the Palazzo was only, the hotel was trying to do, I guess, half capacity. So the Palazzo was only open on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, to be specific. And then the Venetian was obviously open. Not all the restaurants were open. Not all the stores were open. Checking in was fairly light, again, like the airport. However, the one thing I had was very interesting was that it was a little hard to hear the clerk behind the desk because of this massive plexiglass they had everywhere. I almost felt like I was either in jail or, it was this little tiny little hole that you spoke through. So it was a little hard a little bit because it is a large sort of room and it kind of echoes a little bit. But otherwise, pretty normal. It was fine.
Just light.
And my room was ready and asked me if I needed anything. And yeah. It was good.
Okay, so what about your room? How was housekeeping? Was it clean? Did you feel safe in your room?
Housekeeping was actually the same. So that says a lot about the Venetian Hotel, that they have always been pretty up to standards and stuff. The only thing I noticed differently, that I noticed the housekeeper sprayed something on the carpets, which I've never seen that before. So I'm guessing maybe now they're spraying the carpets with some type of antiseptic or deodorizer or something. So other thing I want to mention too, checking in, when I got into my room, they gave you a little a welcome packet. It had gloves, hand sanitizer wipes, and hand sanitizer. So, I mean, and it was throughout the whole entire hotel. So they definitely provided a lot of that. And it's funny, when you're in your room, you realize how many things you touch. Remotes, light switches, fan switches, doorknobs, elevator buttons, knobs to the lights and to the alarm clock and the telephone and stuff. So I guess I was trying to be really careful about what I touched. You know, I opened a drawer to get the blow dryer out, and it was like, oh my, what did I just touch, kind of thing. It's kind of funny how we kind of changed that a little bit in our visit.
Interesting.
Thinking about that.
Interesting. So that's check-in, that's the room, and then there's the casino. How was the casino? Was it busy? How were people in general?
You didn't really interact too much with people, mostly at the restaurants and at some of the bars. That was about it, really. I mean, otherwise, people pretty much kept within their groups and kind of did their thing, but casino was going.
The casino was going slowly. I'm guessing it was 25%. In the casinos.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes even way less than that even.
And antiseptic dispensers every 10 feet. People kept their distance, I guess. Most people had masks. Not everybody wore them right.
Yes, that's true.
That irritated me to death.
I noticed, too, different days of the week had some different, volumes as well, too. And they also closed things a lot earlier than normal. I mean, most of the time it's 24/7 open in some bars and restaurants, but they were closing some at 9, some at 10. I noticed, too, that some of them even closed voluntarily, depending if they didn't have a crowd. They just went ahead and closed.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. If you say you're going to be open, you should be open.
That was sometimes disappointing. I wanted to run and go get something to eat or snack on, and I couldn't because they were closed.
I know.
So it was okay.
Well, we didn't visit a lot of restaurants. We did visit a few, but we went to some. Let's talk about restaurants and bars. I noticed that there seemed to be either a bar policy or some sort of city policy that bars without food were closed. You couldn't go in. You couldn't sit at the bar.
Yes.
But we saw a little bit of confusion because we went to the Parasol Bar up. There were people in there drinking without eating.
Yes. They do now provide a food menu. We had grass-fed strip steak bruschettas.
It was really good.
Really good. They went down pretty quick. There are not a lot of them, but yeah, that's the first time we've ever had anything there. It was good.
Parasol.
I liked it. Before you had arrived, I did go to a few. It seems I went to a lot of Italian restaurants, so that must be saying about what kind of food I really kind of leaned toward. I had some really good items, though.
Where'd you go?
Well, let's see. And not in particular order that I can think of. I went to a restaurant called Matteo's, which is new in the restaurant row at the Palazzo. Had ravioli with pork and veal, and it was a sage brown butter sauce. It was really good. The service there was really excellent. And there being by myself and being, the 6-8 feet away I was from other tables, they were very accommodating. Canalettos, which has been there for quite a while. Of course, I have my penne with ragu.
Of course.
I always have to stop. I know we've done this in a previous review. Grimaldi's Pizza, of course, had a pizza margherita. That was good. One of the new places I went to was called, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it was Mercata della Pesceria, which I believe is the fish market in Italian.
Right.
And I had the most wonderful mushroom risotto there.
Didn't you say
I highly recommend.
That's where Wolfgang Puck's place used to be.
Correct.
In the Grand Canal.
Right.
Thing.
And they call that, no, there is
the
a name.
Square
It's like the
Square,
St. Market's Square, I believe, is
something.
what it's called. Yes. Postrio. The restaurant Postrio used to be. And so that's there. And yes, mushroom risotto. I know it wasn't fish, but oh my, it was really, really good. Excellent service. I mean, just spectacular.
Well,
service.
the square there was pretty slow when we were there.
It was.
Usually there's dancers and jugglers and singers and
There's
stuff.
opera singers usually walking around, but of course
There was
they
a
did
band.
not have any. They didn't have that there at all. So
Pretty slow. And again, people walking around with their masks, not quite right, but I felt safe because our masks were on and
right.
we were doused in antiseptic.
Mm-hmm.
Where was the place in the square that you and I went that used to be the Mario's place?
Oh, it was 6th and Mill.
Right.
And that was pretty good, too. That is fairly new. In fact, they were having 50% off pizzas, and that's what we had. It was pretty good pizza we had.
Very good pizza.
I noticed when I was sitting at the fish market there at the Mercado, I saw employees going in there, and I'm thinking, okay, we've got to go there.
And then naturally we went to Chica because we like Chica.
Yes, and we've reviewed Chica before. We had carne asada tacos, marinated steak, salsa verde.
Street tacos.
Yeah, street tacos, cilantro, and the beans and rice. We just kind of had a light lunch there.
I wasn't crazy about being seated next to the entrance because everybody that
Right.
came in the restaurant walked past us.
Correct.
Some of them were masked up and some of them weren't.
Some of them were
So
not.
I get a little nervous
So
about that.
that's something to be aware of where you want to sit. I mean, we were asked where we could sit, but
And limited menu.
and it was a limited menu for sure. That's unusual for that restaurant to have that limited menu.
Naturally, we went to your favorite,
Sinatra, of course,
Birthday Sinatra.
which is in the Encore Tower.
So that was quite
the
a
wing
walk.
Of the Encore, yeah.
Quite a walk from the Venetian. And what did you have for
Well,
dinner?
I had something I've had before, which was sort of an Alfredo pasta, and I had, of course, a wonderful amount of truffles shaved on top of that, which was really
it was
good.
truffle special.
It was a truffle special, yeah.
Where else did we eat, or where else did you eat? What else did we do?
That's pretty much it. Because a lot of the places that I wanted to go to was closed or closed before I could get there, or not even open at all sometimes, because not all the restaurants were open 7 days a week. So I did a lot of room service.
You went to one place, I remember you telling me, and they said, well, if you're going to come in, you have to eat something.
That was actually my first night I was there, and it's not really a restaurant. It's actually a bar.
It's a bar.
And it's the same as the Parasol Up. They had to provide food. This particular place said, when the waitress came to talk to me, she asked me, what do I want to drink and what do you want to eat? So you were forced to have something to eat there. And that was the Dorsey.
Right. Not one of our favorite places.
Not
but
one of our favorite places.
you
But
said you had a good experience.
I had a very good experience because the servers looked like they were happy to be there. They were happy to be working. And I have to say something. I had something very unusual. I had something called booze and juice. Very interesting. I had one of their little signature cocktails. And what it is you choose the type of booze or alcohol, and then it's topped with fresh pressed Granny Smith apple juice.
Okay.
So, and it's like fresh, grated.
Nice.
And then they put some of the apple slices on top of your drink. So
Did you get two of them?
I got 2 of them.
At least 2 of them?
At least 2 of them. They were yummy.
Nice.
And of course I had a little appetizer with some, cheese and tomatoes and sort of like a little, cheese plate kind of things. But
We usually avoid that place because the part of that Dorsey is a cigar bar.
it's a cigar
and it's
bar.
Stinky.
So yes.
But it wasn't stinky this time?
It was not where I was sitting, so it didn't affect me whatsoever.
You mentioned you had a lot of room service.
I did have a lot of room
How was the
service.
Venetian room service and the quality
room
of the
service,
food?
They were wonderful. It's just that, as you know, room service can be quite expensive. Have to be careful how much you order there. So
Anything that you got in your room that stood out?
I did have a shrimp scampi that was pretty darn good.
Really?
Oh, wonderful. I mean, these ginormous shrimp cut beautifully. The pasta was really good, nice and garlicky and saucy and buttery. And it was yummy. But that was about it.
I don't think we're recommending that you take a trip right now, but all in all, I think we're really glad we went, wouldn't you say?
Yes. It was cut a little short because we just kind of were a little, should we be here kind of thing. But I was kind of glad to get away from the atmosphere, new people, new friend. And I kind of was able to hook up with some of my friends that I have there at the hotel. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of nice. Gambling a little bit was kind of fun. That kind of took your mind off things as well. So it was good to go.
I just wanted to get out into the world. We've been
Yes.
locked up for 6 months or 7 months or 8 months. firstly. And then secondly, I wanted to see how the rest of the world is managing the situation.
I think they're all being careful just as much, too.
Well, we were very careful with pockets and purses full of antiseptic spray and wipes and squeeze bottles. You can expect everyone else to be a little less careful, so you got to be on your toes.
Right.
So anything else about this trip?
No, just as I mentioned earlier about it's unbelievable all the things we touch. It's just incredible. I mean, outlets, knobs, handles.
True.
So just be careful, wash your hands regularly, and that's what I recommend.
And have a good time. But we felt safe. We think you can do a limited sort of travel safely.
Right. I managed not to stay in any one place too long as well. I kind of got my experience out of either shopping, eating, drinking, whatever, gambling, and I kind of would stay in my room after that.
Well, unless you have anything else, that's our report about Las Vegas during the pandemic.
Yep.
Be careful, like Sandy said, wash your hands and all that. Support your favorite restaurants the best way you can. Tip your waiters. Thanks for listening.
Hopefully we'll be out there soon again.
And we'll be back with more news from He Said,
She Said.
Bye.
Bye.